Hi guys, and welcome to this week's Coffee Chat. You know, we've been talking over the last few weeks about stress. Well, maybe just the mention of stress causes you to feel stress. Well, I hope not. I do realize that stress is on the rise, and the purpose of these coffee chats, both the writing and the video portion, are to help you to deal with your stress. You know, we've talked a little bit about understanding how stress works. We've talked a little bit about how to identify it when you're experiencing it. Today, we're talking about the weight of stress, and what you've been introduced to is the idea that some stress is positive, good, and some stress is negative, not so good. So read back through that article and understand what kind of stress that you're really feeling and the weight that it's carrying on you. Now, next week, we're going to talk about some solutions to stress and help you with that. But today, I want to go back to something I showed you last week, and it's what we call the TFA, or a thought, feeling, action, the triggers, the consequences, this process that goes on inside your mind, and this happens when stress comes about. Also, I want to show you how you can divert or you can change the pathway so you can get different consequences or different results. Okay, so hang with me here just a minute as I draw on the board behind me, and hopefully you can follow it and see this okay. So let's review what we learned last week. Okay, first of all, something generally triggers us. The trigger starts this whole process. And as soon as that thing triggers, then the next thing we have is a thought, okay? We think something, right? Which normally and naturally leads to a feeling, okay? And then from there, our thoughts and feelings combine together, you know, outside of us, sometimes inside us, definitely inside, to then we take an outside action. In that action, as we said last week, it could be either negative or it can be positive, and what happens from there is we have consequences. That's the normal process for how we make decisions and how things impact us. So if this over here, if coming out of this thought to the trigger, to the feeling, to the action is negative, and the consequences end up being negative instead of positive, how can you change this? How can you stop this from happening? Well, this is the process I want to introduce you to today. It's when you have something that triggers you, and we're going to talk about triggers later, understanding the importance of triggers and what's happening. But then you can actually, when you get here to the feeling in the normal trigger, thought, feeling process, you can stop at the feeling when you feel it, and you can come back to the thought, and you can create what? You can create a new thought. Create a new thought, which actually will lead to a new feeling. And guess what? New thoughts and new feelings can actually lead to new actions, and those can be positive, and then ultimately it can lead to new consequences, positive consequences, the kinds of things that we want to experience. So this happens in everyone's mind, and it happens when we experience stress. It happens in any particular situation, but if you'll step back and you'll think about the natural process, really here's where you empower yourself to do something that's different. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about potential solutions, coping mechanisms, things that you can do in order that when something triggers you, a thought comes in, and there's that temptation to feel that stress. Remember, some stress is good, but some stress is bad, and it's negative. And you want to have some coping skills so that you can get into this pattern of behavior as opposed to this pattern of behavior. And that's what it really comes down to. It's activating our minds and be able to making decisions and choices that are different. Hey, thanks for stopping by for this week's Coffee Chat. I hope it's helpful. As always, remember, you can reach out to a coach at doinggoodatwork.com and someone will respond to you. If you're experiencing high levels of stress, it's around a particular topic, let us help you. We provide resources to folks that can help you in your time of need. We're here to help. That's why we're doing good at work. Thank you again for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you next week on a Coffee Chat.